Hello, and welcome to Body Language by Embody You. I'm Annette Lane, and I'm so glad you're here. This show is where we take a step back from the shoulds and the should nots of social media and really learn what your body is saying and how to speak its language. We're going to dive into topics like gut health, birth control, cycle health, and give you real-world, honest examples of what these actually might mean to you. My goal is to create a space that you can come back to whenever you need a reset or just don't know how to go forward. New episodes will be released weekly, and I cannot wait to take you along with this journey. Let's get started. We're back with another episode of Body Language by Embody You. Best day of the week is when an episode comes out, and especially this week, because I'm about to spill the beans on a lot of different things, including accountability, trust, how to be able to kind of decipher all of the crazy information on the internet, and my honest story of how Embody You came to be and how we kind of ventured away from the normal fitness coaching, especially online, and what I wanted to do to make our program different. And it all started with looking myself in the mirror and being super honest with myself. So stick around because I'm going to be talking about all of those things, how you're going to help yourself through that, what to look for when you're trusting someone online, and how to kind of deal with all of the information out there because it's information overload, analysis paralysis, and decision fatigue. My favorite thing to say, decision fatigue, all over the place all the time. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, guys. So I think there's a little bit of a crisis out there. Now, don't get me wrong. I think all of us should have accountability and take accountability in what we're consuming on the internet and kind of policing that ourselves. But I will say there also needs to be accountability taken for those posting on the internet for other people to see and learn from, because people want to trust you, right? And when you start to connect with them online, there's like this, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like that specific relationship where you think you know someone, but you actually don't. Like online, like you think you know these celebrities, but you actually don't know them. You're just involved in their life through videos and you feel like you're a part of it, but you don't actually know them. So you develop this trust, right? Even if you've watched my podcast, maybe you've developed this trust that you believe everything I say. And I mean, everyone should feel that way. I mean, come on. But I could come out here and say some crazy thing like, hey, if your eyes are blue, you have the fattest butt in the world and everyone wants your glutes. They're easier to build than someone with brown eyes. And that's just not true. I'm trying, ladies. I got blue eyes, I have to say. And we've been working on this butt for like 6 years now. Anyways, so I got to say, you got to trust people, right? But you also need to be able to tell, okay, who can I trust? And maybe it's not just like the fact that I've listened to their videos or seen their content over and over again. That is the reason that I should trust them. So first thing I'm going to say is I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit of my story, because maybe you're like, well, Annette, why should I trust you? Well, because let me just say, I'm the kind of person who I have like the worst subconscious mind to a fault, where if I don't listen to myself or do something right, or if I'm lying about something or trying to pretend, I'm so bad at it, and it just eats me alive and it keeps me up at night. So the first time I ran into this after I started Embody You was when we started to tap into the area of girls talking to me when they had PCOS, or let's say they were missing their period. They hadn't had it for 6 months, or they're dealing with any other autoimmune disorder. When I was on these, calls with them talking about signing up for the program, I was like, I really don't feel confident to help you. All right. I didn't obviously say that out loud, but I would have said something more along the lines of, that's out of my realm. I'm not, certified to be able to help that. I'm not very confident in that. And I could help the basic level, like macro workout plan. Here you go. And it was great. And it works, right? It works for a majority of the population. But there's a segment of people that deal with specific autoimmune, hormone, maybe they're night shift nurses or night shift workers. Like there's this whole sector of people that kind of get forgotten and also thrown into the mix with everyone else that is just completely different. And so when I started to realize this, I was like, okay, Annette, we got to do something about this. I knew if I would have signed this person on and not actually be confident, I would stay up at night and be like, I'm doing this person such a disservice. What if I hurt them? Like that was my biggest fear at the beginning too. I'm like, what if I make people worse off than when they met me? And I know I'm not going to do that because what I do in our program, it's not extreme, right? So we're not going to, starve someone or overfeed them or whatever. We're just trying to rebuild metabolism. What I did was I invested in a program called FNMS with Sam Miller, and shout out, amazing program. loved my time. I even sent both my assistant coaches through it now. So our whole team is going through and has been, learning that curriculum and getting certified to be able to actually deal with people that, are experiencing these things and to be able to confidently help them and change their life. Because a lot of the times, and for example, the first girl that comes to my head is Erin. She came to our program with PCOS and a night shift nurse. So it was like, poor girl was just struggling. She could not lose weight to save her life. She was exhausted. She was stuck and frustrated. And her doctor was just telling her slash carbs and go on a GLP-1. And she was about to. And as always, you guys know, I say, snatch you right up. And I'm like, let's try something else first. Because if you've never actually learned about your nutrition, how much to eat, what that actually looks like to heal your metabolism, going through a reverse diet, which I've talked about a million times and I will continue because I will die on the hill, that when you're under eating, your body's inflamed, you store fat. We know that. It's a science. It's a fact. I tell you guys this metaphor all the time, but it's like way back when our bodies were not getting fed enough, we would hold on to storage or hold on to that fat or that food as storage, as fat, to be able to feed ourselves for extended periods of time because we didn't know the next time we were going to hunt something was. So our bodies still do that. So when you're under eating, you're starving yourself, you're not feeding yourself, your body's storing what you do feed it because it's unsure when it doesn't trust you that you're going to feed it again. So when we bring girls out of that stage and we start to slowly teach them how to eat more, we rebuild their metabolism over time, they start to tone out and be less inflamed and finally lose weight because their body feels comfortable enough to do so. So it's this whole great thing and it's beautiful. But like I said, I at first was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help this population. And I didn't realize how different it was until I took this course, got certified to be able to actually talk about hormones, to be able to talk about metabolism and bridging the gap between like functional health and macros, workouts, rest, sleep, recovery, all of these things, because there's such a different layer to it all for all of us. We all deal with stress. We all deal with, figuring out our own sleep schedules, even if we're not, a night shift worker. We're all trying to balance our hormones and feel, optimal, because the thing about, Western medicine is there's like two categories, right? You're either sick or you're not sick. That's kind of like the problem there is even when you're not sick, they just say you're good, right? But in functional medicine, there's like three ranges, right? There's optimal, and then there's like in range, and then there's suboptimal, right? When you're just in range or when you're kind of teetering on that, Western medicine would say you were fine. Functional medicine would say, no, you still have room to grow. You could be optimal. And that's where we want to get our girls to. And that's how we want to feel is when we feel optimal, we have energy. Our body composition is how we want it to be. We're sleeping good. We are like happy. Our mood's great. We're not irritable and all of those things. So you're not just good or bad when it comes to functional health. You're either not great, you're okay. You're good, but you could be great. That's the really big difference. And what we focus on it with a lot of our girls is some girls come to our program and they're like, I don't know, people don't agree with me that I need to change, or, people would trade for my body any day, but I don't feel great. Like I don't feel confident. And, maybe I'm not super overweight. I don't have a ton of weight to lose. Like I still want to lose some. And I'm like, it's okay. It's okay to have an objectively good body that someone else would love. And someone else is like, you don't need to do that. Like you're fine. It's okay to have that and still not feel great. You don't feel optimal and you want to. And that's awesome. You should want that for yourself. And so we take a lot of girls from that good to great. And that's, one of our main pillars in our program is obviously at the beginning, kind of priming their metabolism, getting them to a spot where they're just consistently eating enough and they're consistently moving. And then we kind of take them from that good to great and we really expand and we really teach them like the nitty gritty on how they're going to do this for the rest of their life, because education is huge. Education is one of the biggest things you could have. And that's what we're talking about today is that analysis paralysis that you probably get from the internet. Like I said, kind of why I, was a deer in the headlights and said, okay, Annette, there's clearly something missing here. You don't know what you're doing with this population. You need to be honest with yourself. That's kind of an overarching theme that I think a lot of us can take, and we can take it into our daily life about where are you actually disciplined? Like, what standard do you hold yourself to? And are you just holding yourself to like a mid standard that's just kind of like getting you by? Or are you holding yourself to a standard where you feel like your best self? Because I don't know about you guys, but when I finally started doing my wellness correctly, right? And like focusing on the right things and doing it in a healthy way, I stick to it, not because I feel like I have to or because I'm punishing myself, because I feel fantastic when I do so. That's self-love. I don't know who got it confused that self-love was like just being okay with anything and just kind of being complacent. Self-love is wanting the best for yourself and wanting better and asking for better, demanding more from yourself. And that means not putting up with relationships that don't serve you or people that, aren't making you better. If someone around you is making you worse and they're not bringing something to the table, take them out. Take them out of your life. It's not worth it to have someone that's draining you or consistently, bringing you a step down or knocking you down. It's so not worth it. And once you start to develop this self-love and through routine and through, feeding yourself and taking care of yourself, you start to realize who's not taking care of you. And you're like, I'm not standing for that. I take way too good of myself to be putting up with this. That's honestly something that's carried me through a lot of tougher decisions in my life, from a breakup to, going through a tiff with a friend or not getting, an opportunity that I wanted. And I started to look at it like, okay, Annette, why were you asking so much from something that wasn't going to give you what you wanted? I would say all the time when I've had bad relationships in the past, I would tell myself, they're not taking care of you any better than you could take care of yourself. And it brought my standards way up, and in a good way, not in a way where I expect anyone to be perfect, right? I would never expect that. And I'm actually in like the most healthy, happy relationship that I've ever been in right now, because I finally got to a spot where I wasn't just putting up with relationships that weren't good for me and weren't serving me and weren't making me better. I was just kind of maybe trying to prove my worth to people, or just bringing something to the table where I was literally like, I'm changing your life a lot because you're telling me how I'm, made all this stuff better, and you're eating better, you're moving more, you're taking so much better care of yourself. And I'm like, well, I'm taking worse care of myself. And, what are you bringing to the table for me? And so when I started taking care of myself and bringing my own love and gratitude and independence to the table, my standards shot up, and I was like, whoa, I can't believe I ever put up with anything else. Like I said, my relationship right now, is something that I feel so confident in and connected to, because I feel like my best self. I feel like Michael makes me my best self, and vice versa. And it's easy. We just go well together. And it's because I finally said, I'm not giving my energy to a relationship that doesn't serve me anymore, because it's not worth it. You start to change as a person, and you shouldn't have to change in a relationship. I think, there's a lot of things that you could start doing better, and there's ways that people can make you better. And might I say, Michael, he's my clean freak, and he makes me better in that way, where sometimes I'm like, okay, I'll put my laundry away tomorrow, but he's like right away, like folding every edge, no wrinkles. And I'm like, okay, a little OCD, but I could use it, right? I could use it because sometimes I'm clean, but I'm also like a little unorganized here and there. So he makes me better in that way, but he doesn't change who I am as a person. My values, my morals stay the same, and they match his. We work out together, we move together, we cook together, we do things that make us feel good. And then we also have a lot of fun. So it's great. If you can't tell, I'm really happy. So what I will tell you is, that's my crazy tangent, but start holding yourself to that standard, and then not letting anyone else in your life that doesn't hold you to it. It all comes down to that accountability, right? Or just looking yourself in the mirror and being disciplined and wanting enough for yourself to say, is this working or is it not? Am I actually happy? Am I actually doing what's best for me? Or is there a voice in the back of my head that's telling me, no, this is not right? Is there a voice in the back of my head saying we should get up and go to the gym? Or, hey, this relationship doesn't feel right? Whatever it is, your subconscious, your intuition, when you learn how to hear it, you start to live in alignment with yourself. And the biggest thing I can help you guys separate from, anxiety versus your intuition, because both of them are voices, right, in your head. Anxiety screams. Anxiety is like, don't do that. Keep yourself safe. Don't sign up for the program. Don't spend money. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't go, because what if this happens? What if you fail again? What if you're such a failure? Look, at everyone else is in the gym and you can't be. Intuition whispers. Intuition's that silent, little quiet voice that's like, this isn't right. I don't feel safe. Hey, go to the gym. We should be there. You can do it. Hey, put yourself out there. Sign up for the program. It could be the best thing that could happen for you. It's not like anything you've ever done. So you might get something different than we've gotten in the past. And so learn to differentiate the two of them. Learn to separate, right? If you feel this intense, screamy, I can't control myself feeling, that's probably anxiety and you want to run from it, right? But intuition is the thing that you almost don't want to listen to. You're like, no, don't be true. I really like him, or we have a lot of fun together. He's my best friend. But there's this thing in the back of your head that's like, he's not your person. It's not the one. It's not the one. And you don't want to listen to it. You try to shut it up and silence it. And then ultimately it's going to come rear its ugly head. What's the term? Show its ugly head. We'll say that. and it's going to come back tenfold, right? And you should have just dealt with it at the beginning. So learn to listen to your intuition. Not only learn to listen to your intuition, but like we talked about, learn to listen to people that you can actually trust on the internet. And that was one of the biggest things I wanted to talk about today, was the fact that it's frustrating because social media can be so great. And I think it's one of the biggest reasons that we've all gotten so aware. We've all gotten so much smarter with our health, with our wellness. We've learned so much about the importance of, eating and fueling and strength training and making sure we have muscle on our body. But we've also learned a lot of toxic things. And it's also a space where people can say whatever they want and they have vulnerable populations listening to them. And so you can literally put up anything you want on the internet and you could say it's true. Like I said before, I could put up anything out there and there'd probably be some people that would trust me because maybe they've consumed my content or they just trust, me or whatever. And it could be completely false. And so I want you guys to be aware of that, because especially being in the industry of fitness coaching, and why I wanted to separate Embody You was because I was running into that roadblock that I didn't know anything about hormones, metabolism, gut health, reproduction, anything like that. But I wanted to, and I knew it was a problem, and I wasn't just going to hide behind my content and go steal someone else's content, pretend I know what I'm talking about, and hope that it goes viral and signs me a client. I wasn't going to do that. I was like, okay, I don't feel aligned with this. I'm going to go invest in my future, my health, my, entire career in my program to then be able to actually help that population. And it was the best thing I ever did. And so I want you to know, when there's people just posting about hormones on the internet and telling you it's just your hormones, it's this and that, do they actually know what they're talking about? Like, do they actually have the credentials to be able to talk about these things? Or do they have a good hook? Like, are they trying to sell something to you? Are they trying to get you to follow them or share their video or whatever it might be? And don't get me wrong, I was a marketing major. I know what all of these things are. I know what a hook is. Like, I know that a call to action, right? Save my video. Like, obviously we all throw those things in our videos. We want our, pages to expand. I would love to have, followers come in, but I don't want it to be from a spot where they feel like they're fear mongered into believing what I have to say, or B, that I'm convincing myself that I know what I'm talking about to hopefully convince them that they can trust me. It's just morally wrong. And I want to know where the accountability is with the coaches out there, especially, or even the fitness influencers that are talking about things that they have no idea about. Because not only are there impressionable people, but there's kids. Like, there's young girls and boys on these apps that are seeing these things and thinking that they need to lose all this weight and start on all these medications and everything. And it's like, it just is sad. And I know, like I said, we all have our own responsibility to control what we consume. But at the same time, I think there should be responsibility on the end of what we produce and not even allowing people to consume content that could be detrimental to them. And the reason that I think I wanted to talk about this is because I was in that spot for a really long time where I was following influencers or even working closely with people that, I saw a completely different version of them than the person they were online. And it scared me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a facade. It's so fake. And who you're portraying online is not who you are in person. They were saying things that were just like, boggled my mind that they would call themselves like a fitness coach or a health coach or a women's wellness coach or, girls support girls, yet behind the scenes, they were not that at all, or they were promoting things just to get views, but they didn't actually know what they were speaking on. And it was just like, that's so backwards. When did serving others, being a health and wellness coach, turn into being about me? It's so backwards. It should be about who we're trying to serve, who we're trying to help. It has nothing to do with me. Yes, I have knowledge that can help. That's the point. I'm like the helping hand to help that person feel like their best self because it's what I wanted. It's what I needed when I was in the depths of my eating disorder, working out 2 times a day, not feeling like myself, hating my body, hating myself, feeling like I wasn't good enough. I was putting myself in toxic relationships because I didn't feel like I was worthy of real good love. And I was so alienated from my higher self that this is what I wanted. I wanted and I needed someone to walk with me. And frankly, if they would have made it about themselves, I would have been like, what? This isn't about you. In my own journey. And when I work with coaches or mentors or people that are smarter than me, I hope they think it's about me and making me better and not about me, and not about them and them flashing whatever they have. That's not what you want out of a coach or a mentor or even a friend or a partner. Like, you don't want someone that just, flexes or tries to make you, feel like it's all about them or is in it for their own growth. It's about serving others. And that's where I think we've really lost it in the fitness wellness space. and just in social media in general. It can be super toxic. And so this is not only a reminder to you, but honestly to myself to monitor and kind of control what I'm exposing myself to. Because I find myself, and I talked about this in the last episode, feeling so anxious and like deep and depressed and tired when I'm stuck on my phone all the time because I'm just consuming content and just getting so overwhelmed and thinking I'm not doing enough. And when I put my phone down and I can just be with myself and really connect with that higher version of me and listen to my intuition, I end up being such a happier person. Moral of my story, and I know this was kind of all over the place, but it really starts with being able to be honest with yourself of where you're at, how much you're kind of dedicating to yourself, where your standards lie with yourself, who you're surrounding yourself with, and then who you're trusting outside of that. Because yes, it's about, who's around you physically and in your circle and in your close life, but also who you're connecting with online, who you're following, who you're trusting. Are they someone that actually has your best interest? Are they someone who you think is the same person that you would meet if you met them on the street? Or are they someone that's maybe just doing things for show, trying to sell things? Like, I'm saying this as someone who hasn't as a product that she sells, right? I sell a fitness program, I sell a service. Obviously, that's a part of social media. That's a part of marketing. But at the same time, I want to be able to just help throughout my content. Like I said, for the younger girl that I was so just beyond unwell. And I was just at the lowest, my rock bottom. And it's what kind of birthed embody, for lack of a better term. It's what inspired me to create this program, is being there. And this is what I wish I would have had. So please just remember, you are in charge of your wellness. You are in charge of who you surround yourself with online and in person and virtually and digitally and all of it. You get to choose who you give your energy to. And remember, if there's people around you that don't align with you, that talk in ways that don't make you feel good, that as soon as your friend leaves the room, that they start talking crap and you're like, they probably do that to me. They probably do, right? So get higher standards. Like, it's okay. Let people go because, not everything's meant for you. And if something expires in your life, it's because it was for a version of you that you no longer are. And that's okay. And it's beautiful because it means we're growing. And when you don't feel the same, you can say that to yourself. Wow, I don't feel the same. I must be growing. So that's what I had for you guys today. I'm always an advocate for all of you. My DMs are always open. I'm more than willing to talk and hear people out. And I think there's so many wonderful people on the internet. And I've met some of my best friends who are other online coaches. And I've been in amazing programs like PCBI. I got to shout them out too, because they helped me set up my whole program. And I've met the most incredible people in that journey who are literally doing the exact same thing as me and want me to succeed just as much as they want themselves to succeed. And I think it's the coolest thing ever. So to give you some hope and leave this on a high note, there are fantastic people out there. There are a lot of credible people out there, but there are also people out there that don't have your best interest. So maybe this is just your big sister advice to watch your back and not trust everyone and everything. Unfortunately, I've been the naive girl and trusted a lot of things that ended up burning me in the end, that I wish I would have just held my ground or listened to that intuition at the beginning, knowing that it wasn't right for me, because I would have saved myself time, money, heartache, so many different things. So this is your sign and your reminder. Trust your intuition, hold yourself to high standards, and allow yourself to hold other people in your life to those same standards. Because when you can raise that standard and start treating other people and yourself and just adding to the collective of good humans, your life will just expand in so many ways. And I want that for you and I want that for me. And that's something that I hope I want for yourself, because I sure know I want it for me. As always, if you're interested in the Embody You program, or you want to talk about what it looks like, if you've been struggling with these things or you don't know where to start on the internet, you're like, who do I trust? Is Pilates good? Is weightlifting good? Should I do the carnivore diet? What about anti-inflammatory? You're doing all these crazy things. Just reach out or fill out the application below. We'll get on a completely free consult call just to even talk if it's the right program for you. I'll explain it completely free. You're not signing up for anything, but just for you to get a little bit more understanding. And if nothing else, hopefully some advice. So I love you guys so much. From the teacher in me to the teacher in all of you. Thank you so much, as always, for being here with me today. And I will see you next week.